unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxing Ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Anthony Joshua promoter Eddie Hearn says he really believes Deontay Wilder will beat Tyson Fury in the rematch if the rematch happens early 2020. Stay tuned. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working. Now, sign up for ESPN Plus. Link in the description of all my videos. It helps the channel. UFC 243 is coming up, and the pay-per-view. Order it now. UFC 244 using my link. It helps the channel. Funny thing about boxing is this: boxing is a sport where any given night, you know, someone can shine, like Andy Ruiz beating Joshua. Sean Porter did better than a lot of people expected. And, you know, these things change. Now some people are saying, oh, Crawford definitely beats Errol Spence because, you know, Porter gave him a good go. And one person in particular is Tyson Fury, where after his tough fight with Otto Violin, the guy out of nowhere, you see a lot of people, especially old media, changing their opinions from what they said. Just a minute ago, people were saying that Fury beat Wilder and whooped him in the first fight and beat him 10 rounds to 2. But after he had a struggle fight with the unknown, unheralded Otto Violin, now people are trying to switch it up, you know. And one person who thought Tyson Fury won the first Wilder fight, who now believes Wilder is going to win the rematch, is Eddie Hearn. He did an interview, link in the description, and this is what Eddie Hearn had to say. I think Deontay Wilder wins the rematch. I really do. I think Wilder, he'll be less cautious. I think he'll know that he has the power to hurt him, and I think he'll be a little more reckless. Wilder is at his most dangerous when he's a little bit reckless, but you can't be reckless against a good fighter. But I think this time he will be. Maybe it might go better for Fury, but I think he's going to be more reckless this time and come out and try and hurt Tyson Fury early, whereas he really didn't in the last fight, and he's been in there with Fury. Fury is unpredictable and very tricky, but once you share the ring with him, you might start figuring him out. Eddie Hearn goes on to say, I think Tyson Fury has been exposed a few times, and just when you think he's rubbish, he goes and puts on a good performance. So Fury rises for the big fights. He's very tricky and awkward. Fury is a good fighter. He proved that, and I didn't think he was. I thought Klitschko would beat him and beat him easily, and I didn't think he could beat Deontay Wilder, and he beat him easy. He says that Tyson Fury versus Otto Violin, Tyson Fury was undermotivated, and we've seen it from Tyson Fury before. When you're being told that you're going to win and it's a bad fight, and then all of a sudden you're fighting someone that is really hungry for it, like Otto Violin, actually he got away with it because it was a good fight. If Tyson was on point, he would have won every round. With him being cut as that goes, it actually should have been stopped. He probably should have lost the fight. Yeah, this can happen, right? And I want to talk about that. That's really all that he said that I wanted to talk about. First of all, I got to address, you know, it's so funny if you have the complexion for the protection and almost this UK brotherhood where it seems like UK commentators and personalities and promoters and fighters alike from the UK all seem to have, even if they don't like the, you know, or they have beef or back and forth propaganda and stuff like that, they seem to always kind of look out for the other UK fighters, you know, when it comes to UK fighters versus American. Like, you listen to Sky Sports, and even if there's a fighter like Tyson Fury who's not on their network, you know, this seems like they're rocking with the UK fighter just out of like camaraderie and, you know, like a brotherhood, and it's a fellow countryman. The other thing is, I think a lot of the UK fans that I've seen, there's some bias there, and you know, the close-knit stuff is cool, but you got to be within reason. I think if you have the complexion for the protection, a lot of people want to make up these excuses. You know, now Eddie Hearn is saying that Tyson Fury was undermotivated. You know, I think that's bullshit. I don't think he was undermotivated. He, like, listen, so this is the thing. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Tyson Fury said before the fight that he's training like he's fighting Wilder. He literally said this. So somebody got to be lying here. You know what I'm saying? And obviously it's not like Tyson Fury said it and it's Eddie Hearn saying it, who doesn't really have anything to do with Fury. But what I'm saying is, if you know what's going on, you know, I'm not buying that scapegoat shit. You know, Tyson Fury says he's training like this is his big fight and he's at the best camp and the weight is melting off, and in the Wilder fight he wasn't fully prepared. Even though he was in the Wilder fight versus Otto Violin weigh-ins, he only weighed like 2 pounds different, you know. And whatever, he said he felt great, so I'm not using that. I'm not buying that. I reject your deposit, you know. So I disagree 1,000% with Eddie Hearn making an excuse saying Tyson Fury was undermotivated. It's not about undermotivated. I think he was motivated like Tom Schwartz, but Otto Violin proved that he was better than Tom Schwartz. That's what that was about. Beyond that, he opened up a cut which made things interesting. Had the cut not happened, who knows how the fight would have played out. But that, you know, this is the dangers of taking guys you're not supposed to be fighting, that no one's asking you to fight, and this is what you could run into. It, you have somebody who's unknown and then you help make him a celebrity overnight and put him on the map for no reason. You know, even in Anthony Joshua losing to Andy Ruiz, you can at least justify that because this wasn't under Joshua's control. He needed a new opponent because his real opponent that he had selected failed a drug test. This is who Top Rank, ESPN, and Tyson Fury's team and Frank Warren picked from the gates, Otto Violin. So I'm not buying that. And, you know, a lot of people hated on Floyd when Mayweather was in the sport, saying, oh, just leave and you're ruining boxing. And then they make up excuses, piddly excuses like this about guys being undermotivated. I'm not trying to hear it. You're getting $108 million from ESPN. You better be motivated. So, again, I know this is not Tyson Fury's team saying this, but I'm not accepting this from Eddie Hearn talking about his performances because he was undermotivated, and you heard a bunch of people and hearsay about the fight was going to be bad, so you were looking past him. You know, this year is the worst year to do that anyway, because how many upsets have we seen or close to upsets? You know, some people think Sean Porter gave Errol Spence a run for his money, arguably beat him. You look at Julian J. Rock Williams beat the bigger Jared Hurd. You look at Andy Ruiz, who beat Joshua. You look at Mario Barrios was in a tough-ass fight with an unknown guy. You look at Otto Violin versus Tyson Fury. So between actual people getting upset and near upsets where a guy came out of nowhere and gave the more prominent name a tough fight, I don't feel one bit of remorse or mercy for any fighter who is just taking somebody lightly because they never heard of him. I mean, hell, even Robert Guerrero on that last fight card, I mean, I know was retired and all that, but he was in a tough fight. That dude, the dude with the braids, whoever the fuck that was, gave him a tough fight. You know, so if anybody's taking anybody lightly in this sport, I don't feel sorry. So I'm not using that as an excuse. Fury was in there. He shouldn't have been fighting that dude anyway. And that's the dangers of it, because eventually somebody might have your number and they have the right style for you, and they don't have a name. So you just help put them on the map for no reason. Fury should have never been fighting this guy. You know, when ESPN has other guys like Kubrat Pulev and Oscar Rivas, which would at least been better fights. Bryant Jennings, bigger names and better fights. So I don't agree with Eddie Hearn there. He says Fury's been exposed, but he rises occasion. You know, that's safe. But the other thing Eddie Hearn says is that I thought Klitschko would beat him, and he beat Klitschko easy. All right, whatever. You know, even though Klitschko did good in the last couple of rounds. And then Eddie Hearn's saying that Wilder, he beat him easy. I don't agree with that. How the fuck you beat somebody easy and you're laid out in the 12th round like that? That's not what I would call easy. And if he beat him, see, this is what I'm saying. The UK got to stop it. Old media got to stop it. He did not beat Deontay Wilder easy. First of all, he didn't even beat him. It was a draw, and that was a rightful score in my book. You know, 2 knockdowns. And Fury was not busy in the first 3 or 4 rounds. He was working. He was fainting. You know, he wasn't putting this onslaught and, tour de force performance on in the first 4 rounds. People got to stop that. And then, like I said, Wilder easily collected some of those rounds early, and plus 2 knockdowns, it put him right into the fight where he either won it or you could argue a draw, just depending on how many of those early rounds you gave him. People are they're trying so hard to make it look like Tyson Fury won 10 rounds, and was perfect. He wasn't. And then the funny thing is, if we're using this logic, like I said, you cannot have your cake and eat it too. If Fury was so perfect and did everything so good, why did he get dropped? If he was so perfect and he did everything right and, was exposing Wilder and all this extra shit that people are saying, old media is saying, then why is he making excuses about, I wasn't at my proper weight and I was just coming back from a 3-year layoff? Why would you even need to say any of that? If he was doing so good and he's so perfect and it was an easy fight, then why did he jump out of the immediate rematch? You see, new media is the new wave. None of this stuff that people be saying makes sense. He's so easy. You beat him so easy that you decided to take unknown names, unknown guys that fight nothing like Wilder. You're not fighting any punchers, and you're taking tune-up style fights that you should have taken before you even stepped in there with Wilder, and now you're trying to back off the block. You pulled out of the immediate rematch, fled to another network, and now you want to fight him in 2020. So if it was so easy, why wouldn't you just do it again? You were already in negotiations. They had a date, venue. Just work with ESPN like they're going to work with Fox right now to make the fight in February. So why couldn't they do it immediately? Because Tyson Fury didn't win easy. So I totally disagree with most of what Eddie Hearn is saying here. I don't think Tyson Fury, especially after getting knocked out, his own admission in the 12th round, beat Wilder at all, let alone beat him easy. If it was so easy, you wouldn't have to walk through fire and walk the hell. Like Mayweather beat Gotti easy, or Diego Corrales. He made those fights look easy. He made the Canelo fight look easy. Being laid out with your eyes closed and Jack Reese having to wake you up, I wouldn't define that as easy. But now the main part of the title, he says Wilder wins the rematch. That's probably the only thing that he said here that I agree with. I do think Wilder wins the rematch. Kind of the reason what he's saying, he knows Fury and Wilder is going to be less cautious and more reckless. And see, this is the thing with this UK camaraderie and all this old media talking points. People keep saying Fury's this and Fury's tricky and Fury's good and Fury won 10 rounds to 2 and Fury beat him easy. Then why aren't you picking Fury to beat Wilder? See, this is what I can't stand about boxing, because they act like they riding for the cause, and then when it comes down to it, then they really aren't. Like the same thing happened with Mayweather and Pacquiao. For 5-6 years, we all debated in forums and chat rooms and YouTube comments and on my videos about who would win. And I always told and maintained the same thing. I believe Floyd Mayweather would win, right? I had these people so-called arguing, and it sounded like they were riding with Pacquiao and saying like, oh, Mayweather struggles with southpaws. He don't want to fight a southpaw. Pacquiao got speed. And then when the fight was finally announced, guess who they were picking? Floyd Mayweather. So you did all that and said all that just to not even pick the guy that you was allegedly riding for, and everything you were saying was in support of that person. And when it came down to it, you weren't putting no money on Pacquiao. You weren't picking Pacquiao. So what are we talking about? This is the same thing I see with Tyson Fury. People keep saying that, Tyson Fury did this and beat Wilder easy and beat him 10 rounds to 2. Okay, great. He took 2 tune-up fights. Then why would you be picking Wilder to be reckless and win? Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn's picking Wilder to win, but you're saying all this, oh yeah, Fury rises to the occasion in big fights. I thought he was going to beat Klitschko. I thought Klitschko was going to beat him, and then he beat him easy. I thought Wilder was going to beat him, and then he beat Wilder easy. Okay, so then why aren't you picking Fury? People just say whatever, but it doesn't really make sense. It sounds like you have so much faith that Fury is going to win. Why aren't you picking him to win? I told you, I'm super consistent. If I'm saying everything in support of and giving all the reasons and clauses and different things as to why a person, then that's probably who I'm picking. I'm not going to say all this stuff to build up Wilder and say, oh, but Wilder got the jab, and Wilder's learning, and Wilder in the Dominique Brazil performance was gained confidence. I'm not going to say all that to say I think Wilder loses. You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand that with this whole old media thing. I really don't. You keep talking about how dynamic Fury is, and he's tricky, and every time you count him out, he rises. Then why are you picking Wilder to win by recklessness? And the point is they overstate that whole Wilder reckless shit. Wilder is reckless when he gets you hurt. He really doesn't. Like, when's the last time you just seen him swinging crazy for the fences in round 1, unless he got a guy hurt like Audley Harrison? That's when you see him swinging with all his might. He's trying to destroy you. He knows you can't. If he connects a few more shots or one more shot, you're out of there. So that's what that's about. Just like Gerald Washington, he knew he got you hurt, and he's trying to close up shop. He don't get paid by the hour. It's that simple. So I disagree with most of what Eddie Hearn said. The only thing we really agree with is the fact that I believe Wilder wins. But like I said, I think the whole reckless angle is overstated. I don't think Wilder's this reckless caveman like people try, windmill Wilder and all that. He don't really do that. He shows, first of all, he's a bronze medalist as a late bloomer in boxing. So that's a testament to something, because you got to fight different styles to even get to that point of the Olympics, to the point where you can even medal in any division, especially heavyweight division. Beyond that, I've seen little stuff like where he jabs, and he's fighting guys who are more technically sound than him. If he was just reckless Wilder, then Luis Ortiz probably would have stopped him, because Ortiz is super technical and has a lot of amateur experience. So he probably would have stopped him in the first fight, So it's just funny to hear people build up like this fake argument, and this person got this, and this. It's like they're playing devil's advocate, and then you say, who you picking? They're picking the other person. That's that old media shit. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. We working. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.